So that was just to illustrate how the things that Cam was talking about can actually affect or apply in our lives. So the next session, we'll be having David Daniels, who will be giving us a talk on what has helped him live an original life. And I can see he's not in the room at the moment. Yeah, he'll be talking about what has helped him live an original life. And his talk is entitled, Guess Who? This is David Daniels. He's going to talk about what has helped him live an original life. And his talk today is entitled, Guess Who? So please welcome David as he gets ready to.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
How's everyone?
Good.
Cam, it's a really good talk. Really good talk. Sometimes you wonder, how can you follow that up? And your answer is you can't follow it up, you just have to be yourself. So, I like to start my talk with a game. First, I want to thank everyone for coming and taking the time out to invest in yourselves. I've got my wife with me, I've got my children, I've got my mum, and I've got my sister as well. So thank you guys for coming and showing your support. Hope you enjoy the talk. So, for you, those of you who've heard me speak before, I like to start the talk with a game. Just a bit of an icebreaker, a bit of interaction. This one's going to be slightly different. So this game is going to be based on the game Guess Who? Does anyone know Guess Who? Yeah, anyone played it? Good. So it's going to be slightly different. So I'm going to, instead of you asking me questions, I'm going to give you some clues, and then you've got to guess who the person is. So I've got 4 things to share about each person, and then at the end you just put your hand up and let me know which person you think it is. So we're going to have a little practice. So Elijah, Micah, hope you're listening. Alright? Right, so this first person, they like to spend a lot of time with their brother. They find themselves rescuing a princess often. They've appeared in over 200 video games.
Oh, I know.
One more. One more. Super is often used before his first name. Elijah, who is it?
Mario.
Well done. Give Elijah a round of applause. Okay, good. One more. Okay, so this person, their uncle once said, with great power comes great responsibility. They live in New York. They spend a lot of time in red and blue. And their nicknames are Webhead or Spidey. I've got 2 people. Oh. Right, who is it?
It's Spider-Man.
Who's going to say Micah?
Spider-Man.
Who's going to say?
Spider-Man, maybe.
It is Spider-Man. Well done. All right. Excellent. Right. So that was our practice. We're going to go into the first person now. So this person was brought up on a council estate. They were advised to play basketball, but they preferred football. They've recorded over 100 live videos on social media, and they go by the superhero name, Simon Speaks. Anyone guess who that is? John.
It's you!
John, a round of applause. That is me. I'm going to talk about myself. I'm going to talk about 3 keys that really help me to live an authentic life and be true to myself. And I'm just going to jot them down here. And these are in no particular order. These are just the order I decided for myself. Right, so. Okay, they are to know yourself, accept yourself, and love yourself. So to me, what does it mean to know myself? Some of those things I wrote about myself, there were things that society and stats will tell you will lead a certain way. I'm not a massive fan of stats at the moment. I think too many people just find a stat to back up something what they're saying. So these particular stats you might say, brought up on a council estate, grew up without a father, we weren't necessarily rich, we're probably more on the poor side. Now society's stats, stereotypes will tell you that would have led to a certain place, probably prison, probably on some sort of addiction. And that's why I have an issue with stereotypes and stats. And people will tell you because of this, and there are certain people I know who went down that route, but that is not for everyone. And some of us, we accept these stereotypes, we place them on ourselves because of what other people will tell us. You can see I'm quite tall, I've always been quite tall. And so many people tell me you should play basketball, and when I said no, I like football, they're almost like disappointed. It's like I didn't fit into the answer they were looking for. And that's one thing that I really struggled with, because society, my friendship circle, was telling me I had to be this particular way based on other people or statistics. So when I came to a place that I actually knew myself, it really helped me. The other thing that I have an issue with is we're often defined by what we do rather than who we are. And I'll give you examples. So, say we're meeting for the first time. I say, hi, I'm David.
Yeah, I'm John.
You John? John?
Yeah.
What's the next question that we usually ask?
What do you do?
Exactly. What do we do? So what do you do, John?
I'm an entrepreneur.
You're an entrepreneur. I'm a cleaner. As soon as I say those titles, you probably start picturing things in your head. So John's an entrepreneur. You're thinking he's successful. He's got loads of businesses. You probably think a cleaner. I'm probably not qualified. I might be just doing it as a stopgap. You see, I could be the happiest cleaner in the world. I could be a cleaner that has a cleaning business and I'm just working in it. John could be the most miserable entrepreneur in the world. He may be successful in terms of profit and money, but he may not have no family and no friends. And this is why I have an issue when we jump to ask people what they do. I would like to think about, why do we ask people who they are? And this is another thing, this is another trap I fell into, is who am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be? So who am I? So I like spending time by myself. I'm a fan of sports. I can happily spend the day by myself reading. I'm a massive fan of books. I also call myself a supporter, an encourager and facilitator of other people. And when you start thinking about your characteristics rather than what you do, it can really help you. Then you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into one job title. What I'm doing, and hopefully helping to support people, encourage people, facilitate people. Whether that's me speaking or is at home with my children as a parent, you see, there's no particular role that defines me. My characteristics define me. So that really helped me. So once I got to know myself, I had to accept who I was. I had to accept who I was. I had to accept who I was in terms of my personality, but also the body that I was given. Now there are things that we can do to enhance our body, so we can take pride in what we wear, how we look, how we style our hair, but there's some things that God has given us, this body. Now I recognise we're in a time in 2019 and a few years beforehand that people can actually change things about themselves physically by having surgery. But I'm coming from a place where that wasn't an option, and I still don't believe it should be an option unless you've got individual circumstances. So you have to be comfortable in yourself. You saw Cam up here dancing away, he's comfortable. Sometimes we're not comfortable in our own skin because we're too worried about what other people think about us. So I had to get to a place where I look in the mirror and I can actually accept what's in front of me, and also not care about what other people think about me. So as I'm speaking to you now, I'm just being myself. I'm not thinking about, oh, have you seen that gap between my teeth? And you're probably thinking, what gap? But when I was about 13, this gap felt like the Channel Tunnel. I was literally staring at it. I need to get this closed. Now don't worry about it. It is what it is. So accept who you are, accept the body, and make the best of what you've been given. It's been given to you for a reason. So once I began to know myself and accept, you know what, I'm actually okay, I'm actually alright. Then I got to a position where I had to actually love myself. And I'm not talking about egotistical love, me loving myself above you guys. I'm talking about just actually loving myself for who I am and what I'm about. And I think too many of us, we love our phones more than ourselves. We love other people more than ourselves. We love our pets more than ourselves. We don't actually take the time to give self-love to ourselves. And it goes back to what Cam was saying about spending time with yourself. Are you comfortable with yourself? So once I began to know, and this happened over a process of time. This was not, I woke up one day and I had all these things. There were struggles, so many struggles I went through to go through that. For those who don't know my story, I'll just say briefly, for the first 4 years of my life, I didn't speak at all, I barely spoke at all. Had extreme shyness, crippled by shyness, bullying throughout most of my school days. Fast forward 20, 30 years to a place now where I'm speaking to you guys live. It started out on Facebook, I started doing live social media videos, called myself the Shy Man as a way of showing people how far I've come from not speaking at all to public speaking. It's in my book. I've written a book about it, particularly the last 2 years of my life, and it's also my first talk about my life. It's on YouTube as well if you want to check it out later. So when I began to identify and say, you know what, I can answer yes to all these questions, it really changed. What also happened for me is I got to a point where, as a Christian, God came into my life. I accepted God into my life, and when I knew that God knew who I was, God accepted who I was, and God loved me for who I am, that just accelerated, to just move things forward 100 times over. I want to throw a couple other things into this mix as well. Some of us, before we can even get to this place, we've got to forgive ourselves. We've got to forgive ourselves for the wrongs we've done or the paths we've taken that you regret now, the past regrets. We've got to forgive ourselves. Some of us are not even getting on this sheet because we're not forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. So for example, like I said, my dad left probably when I was 3, I can't remember. I only saw him 2 times after that. First time was in 2006, and up until that point I had a lot of anger towards my dad. I wanted to know why he left me, why he abandoned me, why, I had all these questions. And when I saw him, it was, I think, a few years after he had a stroke, and like, all this anger I had towards him, firstly, it was affecting me more than I realised, and secondly, he couldn't answer the questions that I wanted because he probably better didn't know who I was. So all that anger had to go. I had to forgive him, and a few years after that, we spoke a little bit. We wrote to each other, and I remember it was on my things to do list. I said I've got to give him a call because I think I wrote a letter to him and he never replied back. So I thought, let me try and call him. And I kept putting it off. He lived in Ghana, so I had to get around trying to phone him and what have you. And then I phoned him, and I think we spoke for about 5-10 minutes, and it was a very awkward conversation because he just didn't know who I was. And I remember putting down the phone and I said, okay, all right, we're going to go back to the letters then. And literally about, I think, 2 weeks afterwards, he died. And I was just so glad that I just didn't keep putting it off, made that phone call, even if it was an awkward phone call, because I had some interaction with him before he died. I sent him pictures of my children as well. So I tried to re-establish some sort of relationship with him. So I had to let that all go. I had to forgive him. I had to forgive myself for hard times and things that I put myself through, because I'm very harsh on myself. The other thing within this mix is some of us have got to challenge ourselves. So I don't like labels, but sometimes labels are there for a reason. It helps. I would probably label myself more of an introvert than an extrovert. But I had to challenge myself. I had to stop making excuses. Because I'm an introvert, that's just me, it's just the way I am. Cam talked about it. And it stopped me from doing so many things. I used to call myself a perfectionist, and I used to think that was some sort of like noble title. I'm a perfectionist, so I wouldn't start that thing, because it wouldn't meet my standards. But what I actually realised, I was stopping myself from doing a lot of things. I was excusing myself from doing a lot of things, giving myself a reason not to do a lot of things. So when I began to challenge myself, I said, no, you need to stop using that word perfectionism. So now I say I just strive for excellence, which means to strive is actually to take a step. So I'm actually taking action to do something, and it can just get better as it goes along. When I challenge myself, stop saying you're introverted. So there's times like now where I'm stepping into that place of being extroverted. So some of us have to challenge us. So some of us need to stop telling ourselves, we're this, we're born this way, we weren't born to run, we weren't this, whatever. Start challenging yourself. Don't let yourself off. And I realise some of us need help with that. I'll talk more about that in a little while. So, back to our Guess Who game. I've got a second person to share with you. So, this person started public speaking at 3.5 years old. They were nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in their first film. They are one of the most well-known TV talk show hosts. And her name, spelled backwards, is Harpo. Also the name of her production company. Does anyone know who I'm talking about?
Oprah.
Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, yes, indeed. I'm going to show you a video of Oprah Winfrey.
Good morning, Believe Nation. It's Evan. My one word is believe, and I believe in people more than they believe in themselves. And my sincere hope is that if you see in yourself what I see in you, you'll be able to change the planet. So to help you on your journey, today's message is be authentic. Over to you, Oprah Winfrey. I think that success is a process, and I believe that my first Easter speech in Kosciuszko Baptist Church at the age of 3.5 was the beginning, and that every other speech, every other book I read, every other time I spoke in public was a building block. So that by the time I first sat down to audition in front of a television camera and somebody says, read this, what allowed me to read it so comfortably and be so at ease with myself at that time was the fact that I'd been doing it a while. If I'd never read a book, if I'd never spoken in public before, I would have been traumatized by it. So the fact that we went on the air with the Oprah Winfrey Show in 1986 nationally, and people say, oh, but you're so comfortable in front of the camera, you can be yourself. Well, it's because I've been being myself since I was 19. And I would not have been able to be as comfortable with myself had I not made mistakes on the air and been allowed to make mistakes on the air and understand that it doesn't matter. You know, there's no such thing to me as an embarrassing moment. No such thing. If I tripped and fell, if my bra strap showed, if my slip fell off, if I fell flat on my face, there's no such thing as an embarrassing moment because I know that there is not a moment that I could possibly experience on the air that somebody else hasn't already experienced. So when it happens, you say, oh, my slip fell off. And it's no big deal. I mean, like, I was on TV the other day and somebody says, oh, Oprah, you have a run. Have you not seen a run before in your life? Well, I get them too, let me tell you. So, I mean, I can't be embarrassed. I can't be embarrassed. Now, when I first started out, that was not true. Because I was pretending to be somebody I was not. I was pretending to be Barbara Walters. So I'd go to a news conference, and I was more interested in how I phrased the question and how eloquent the question sounded, as opposed to listening to the answer. So, which always happens when you're interested in impressing people instead of doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it took me a while. It took me messing up on the air, during the live newscast. I was doing a list of foreign countries, and there was all these foreign names, and then Canada was thrown in, and I called Canada, Canada, and I got so tickled that I called Canada. I go, that wasn't Canada, that was Canada. Excuse me, that wasn't Canada, that was Canada, that was Canada. And then I started laughing. Well, it became the first real moment I ever had. And the news director later said to me, well, if you do that, then you should just keep going. You shouldn't correct yourself and let people know. Fine, well, who's ever heard of Canada? So that was, for me, the beginning of realizing that, oh, you can laugh at yourself, and you can make a mistake, and it's not the end of the world. You don't have to be perfect. And biggest lesson for me for television, because then it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Oh, sorry, cross-type show. Not here.
What is it?
I came across this during the week and it just touched me. It's such a powerful video. So people will say Oprah Winfrey, she's a talk show host, she's an actress, she's a philanthropist. But what she talked about, she mentioned I had to write some of these things. She's been herself since age 19. It was a process that took her to that point. You heard what she said when she tried to be someone else. It just didn't feel right. Now Oprah's been through a lot in her life. And what I've learned about her is actually her first job. So I was talking earlier about titles and what people do. She lost her first job as a TV reporter because she was too emotionally invested in the stories. So as a TV reporter, she was supposed to report one thing, move to another. But she was so emotional because Oprah Winfrey is about people. She loves people. And that shows that whether she's an actress, she's doing her talk show, whether she was a TV reporter, and this is what I'm saying about focusing on your characteristics, not about what you do. So I love that. You can watch the whole video up on YouTube. So we're going to move on to our final person. So this person is fearfully and wonderfully made. They were born with unlimited potential. They're literally a masterpiece. There is a plan and purpose in their place for their life. Can anyone guess who I'm talking about?
All of us.
Yes, all of us. All of us. It's you, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's all of us.
And even me.
And even you. It is for everyone. Now some of you, when I was saying that, you might be thinking, oh, who's he talking about? I don't recognise that person. Some of us have never heard that being spoken about themselves because your parents, your friends, whatever, have told you a load of other stuff. But that is all of us. From the moment we're born with unlimited potential. And one of the things that I've been really getting a bit upset about recently is about the number of people starting to commit suicides. For me, that's, you want to throw in a stat, if one person commits suicide, for me that's a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. It's one thing when people are taking the lives of other people, but for the person to get to that place, and I can know how people get to that place. I've suffered with bouts of depression and so forth. So I'm not judging them saying, oh, how'd you get to the place? I can understand how you get to them, but for someone to take their own life because we've got so much potential with us, for me is a tragedy. And whatever I can do to help in a small way, I will. So some of us have never heard ourselves spoken about this, but it's absolutely true. We've got so much potential and we are stopping ourselves because we're not living true to ourselves. We're not taking the time to find out who we are and show up to the world. So I just want to leave a few tips with you. In all of this, you've got to have to start doing some self-analysis on yourself. Start asking yourself some questions. What do I like doing? What do I enjoy doing? If I had the day to do nothing, what would I do? You see, for myself, I'm very self-analytical. I'm always questioning myself. I'm always challenging myself. Some people say I'm too harsh on myself. Some of us are not like that. So maybe we need some help. So find someone, find an accountability partner, a friend who can help you with that. You can bounce things off. Someone who's going to challenge you as well, but you can trust them. They're going to challenge you because they love you and they want the best for you. It could be that you get a mentor, someone who's been perhaps where you want to be, or someone that you admire and say, can you help me? I'm in this place at the moment. Or even a coach. Cam offers coaching services. Two of our speakers that can't be here today because of illness, Nick and Dana, that offer a coaching service. To just reach out to someone. But in all this, I just want to leave you with a quote. I believe it's my quote. I don't know, I've never Googled it yet. So for me, it's my quote. So it helps me. It helps me to write my book or whatever. So it's this. It's simply just be yourself. Be yourself, because everyone else is taken. Thank you.
Thank you, David, for that. I think I'd call it a deep talk. I like the way you prepare the, could I say, acronyms. It helps us remember well. For example, if I walk out of here, I'll say CAL. So know yourself, accept yourself, and love yourself. So, and the last quote you say, be yourself, because everyone else being taken. Normally, I don't know whether you see this or you don't see it. When you get, for example, someone from Africa trying to speak like a Briton, what do you think about it? I'm not talking about the ones who've grown up here or spent some time here. It comes naturally. But there's some people from Africa, as soon as we land to America, 2 weeks after, when you call them, they're already, yeah, with an accent. Yes. So, but I did, when I tried to find out in America, what someone explained to me, like sometimes we have problem with how we settling to get a job and everything. So we really need to go and practice 2 weeks. So when you make a call looking for a job, so, but thank God we don't have that problem in Britain. In any case, I think the accent in Britain, it's very hard to pick it up unless you spend some considerable time here. So why am I bringing this point? If I open a video, I'm trying to listen to an African who I know has been here for 2 weeks, and they're trying to speak like a Briton. As an African, I'm taken aback because I'm thinking they're not original. And I've gotten similar opinions from work colleagues who are Britons. They say, I'm not looking for someone who's speaking like me, I'm looking for an African speaking. So when they listen to you speak with an African accent, they're happy it's something different. In the same way, when you listen to them speak with a British accent, you think or you feel it's something interesting because they're being natural. I do have a colleague who teases me every so often. I'll pick the phone, call her extension, and they'll go, what do you want? So it sounds funny when she's speaking that way, but what I'm trying to get here is the more of ourselves we are, the more we inspire people. So in whatever you endeavor to do, just be yourself, whether it's in dressing, and that's how you get, what's fashion anyway? It's just someone dressing awkward. As long as they have a big name, everyone follows. So just wake up one morning, decide you're wearing, I don't know, something, and then get a following on Twitter, for example. Everyone will be doing that, or you'll get the, what do they call, fashion big names calling you to do it. So as we go for finishing our first session, we have some tea or refreshments, as we call them in Britain. Just feel free to talk amongst each other. There's no rush. We'll be converging for our next session as soon as the break's finished. So thank you, Cam. Thank you, David, for the session that we've had. And thank you all for being with us this morning. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here. Thank you.
Guys at the back, help yourselves. We've got tea, we've got coffee, we've got water, we've got snacks. So help yourselves, guys.